Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good morning to all the viewers. I am Neeraj Dadia. A lot of news flow that's coming in from the global markets, and it is the last day of the week as well. Let's quickly look at what's happening across. Firstly, if you see Japan, the inflation has hit 4% for the first time since 1981. And overall, if you go to see, it's accelerating to double the Bank of Japan's target pace and underscoring the strength of price growth. In fact, the consumer prices, excluding fresh food, rose 4% in December from a year ago as well. So that's something which we are looking at in today's session. There is some bit of double trouble that's coming in from China as well as they're facing fresh COVID catastrophe. Now, what's happening is because of the restrictions being lifted, a lot of migration that's happening as well due to the Chinese New Year, and that's causing COVID to spread across. Though the authorities are saying that the numbers are dwindling, but that does not seem to be the case. So there is a fresh catastrophe that we are witnessing in terms of China. Moving on, in terms of the European Union, they're planning to consider more Russia sanctions despite the difficult debates. Now, what this means is that the Council head, Michel, has said that the EU is going to consult on Ukrainian proposals and visit Kyiv ahead of EU Ukraine summit, which is expected next month. And they will continue to consider new rounds of sanctions, even though the bloc's debates have gotten more challenging each time. So there are concerns for brewing on the political front in terms of UK as well as Russia overall. EU as well as the Ukraine. Moving from there on, you have seen US, which is actually pushing for Russian oil price cap to stay at $60, and some European countries actually want the price lower price to pressure Moscow. And if you see the Russian Urals, that already is selling at a deep discount to Brent crude. So how this entire situation pans out in terms of crude oil prices is going to be interesting to watch out for. On the other end, you have New Zealand PM Jacinta, which has announced resignation, overall citing burnout issues. And you have Evergrande chairman, who's lost around 93% of his $42 billion fortune. In fact, he has been one of the second richest persons in Asia, and his network has actually now dropped 93%, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Moving from there on, Fed's Bernard, they've come out and said that restrictive policy has is something which is going to be needed for some time from here on. Even with the recent moderation, inflation remains high, and the policy will need to be sufficiently restrictive for some time to make sure that the inflation returns to 2% on a sustained basis. And this is what he said in a speech that he gave at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. And very lastly, Netflix. Now, there could be pressure coming in on that counter as well, where Reed Hastings has stepped down as Netflix CEO, and the board is planning transition to ad subscribers. So, overall, a lot brewing across in terms of global markets. Let's quickly see in terms of what actual markets are doing in trade as well. If you pick up in terms of where US markets go, you have Dow as well as S&P 500, which are down 7 tenths to 8 tenths of a percent in yesterday's session, as well as Nasdaq ended lower to the tune of almost around 9 tenths to 1 tenths of a percent. So there was pressure coming in terms of Wall Street, as majorly it's increasing concerns that the Federal Reserve will keep raising rates despite signs of slowing inflation. And that's the concern which is actually worrying investors in terms of the US markets. Moving from there on, if you see in terms of European markets as well, they closed lower as the global investors' mood has been sour. Stock 600 was down almost 1.5% in trade. Asia markets, if you go to see, it's mostly trading higher, but it's a pretty mixed to a flattish trend that we are witnessing in terms of where Asia Pacific goes in today's session. But largely, it's positive. Hang Seng is up around 8 tenths to 9 tenths of a percent. Shanghai is up around 3 tenths of a percent. Shenzhen is up around 6 tenths of a percent. So that's the mood overall in terms of where Asian markets are concerned. Moving on, let's quickly see what SGX Nifty is doing in trade. There has been good amount of fluctuation, though it is a pretty flattish start that SGX Nifty is indicating at levels of around 18,120 in trade today. Though, as we speak right now, 18,137 is what SGX Nifty is indicating, an up move of around 24 points that is coming in there. But whether it's going to be sustainable or not, that's going to be an interesting factor we will watch out for. We will come to what we could be expecting in terms of markets. But from SGX Nifty, let's quickly see on the commodity front what crude oil has been doing. In fact, there has been a slight bit of a rally that has been coming in terms of crude prices. And it's rallied to the highest close since the 1st of December. And this is mainly on the back of the optimism that the markets are picking up on China reopening. Additionally, markets actually wrote off a second straight week of large bills in the US crude inventories as well. So that's a point that we need to constantly focus on. And if you see the oil demand, as we're talking about China, that's climbed by nearly 1 million barrels per day. So that's what we're talking of, which is actually providing support with regards to where crude oil prices is concerned. Moving on in terms of where gold is concerned, now gold is getting a lot of support right now with the kind of weakness that we are seeing in terms of where the dollar goes. And there is somewhat of a demand that's coming in as a safe haven because usually we've seen that trend, whenever you have markets that end low, inch lower, that's when the demand for gold starts increasing. So overall, there is a good demand picture coming in terms of gold as well as the dollar index, the way the dollar has been moving, that's something which is supporting gold prices as well. So watch out for that space pretty closely. Could be a good investment bet overall, as what analysts are suggesting. Overall, in terms of the trade setup, as we were mentioning, SGX Nifty is indicating a flat to a positive start in session today. Yesterday, if you see clearly the kind of gains that we had seen midweek, they have been reversed. We ended in the negative. Though Nifty ended near levels of around 18,100, in fact, Sensex saw cuts of almost 250 points in yesterday's session. Clearly, the kind of picture and indication that we're getting is that this is a time where we will continue to see that consolidation, and there could be this range bound movement that could be expected overall in terms of markets. If you see in terms of clear support levels, 18,000 and 17,950 is what analysts are expecting as clear support levels in terms of Nifty 50. Whereas there is some bit of resistance that's coming in at levels of 18,200 and 18,250. But if we see a sustainable move above those 18,250 levels, then it's likely to bring bulls back into action. So that's a crucial level we should be watching out for. And if you see in terms of Bank Nifty as well, yesterday's session, we did not see much support coming in from Bank Nifty specifically with regards to the private banking space. And we continued the sideways consolidation, but we've managed to stay above the 41,800 mark on Bank Nifty. So watch out for financials in today's session as well. Overall, clearly, if you go to see, there is positivity, but the mood, the sentiment is still slightly of cautiousness. We need a decisive and sustainable up move in order to get the bulls back into action. So that's going to be crucial. But today also seems to be a range bound consolidated move that could be on the cards. A lot of biggies that will be reporting earnings in today's session. You have RIL, HDFC Life Insurance, JSW Steel, LTI Mindtree, Bandhan Bank, CoFood, Heritage Foods. You can see all the names on your screen. These are the few of the companies that will be reporting earnings in today's session. In fact, if you see in terms of other names as well, apart from JSW, Petronet LNG, Shakti Pumps, as well as the Tanla platforms. In terms of earnings, tomorrow you have biggies like an ICICI Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, SBI, Life Insurance, Punjab and Sindh Bank, IDFC First Bank, Ultratech Cement. These are few of the names that will be reporting earnings today. So there could be a lot of action that could be seen in the financials and the BFSI space as well. Moving from there on, if you see in terms of an earnings reaction, you have HUL that is in focus today as the third quarter has beat street estimates. So there could be a good move that could be coming in terms of where HUL is concerned in today's session. L&T Technology Services, that's another stock that we should be focusing on as well. The profits are up around 22% for this counter, and the revenues have seen a growth of around 21%. So L&T Tech Services is something that we should be watching out for in today's session. In fact, an interesting point in terms of L&T Tech Services, if you go to see, for FY23, they've given a guidance of around, say, a dollar revenue growth to be around 15% organic in CC terms, with growth coming back from the fourth quarter. And on revenue, with the acquisition of SWC, the company has reconfirmed its aspiration of $1.5 billion run rate by FY25. Though the acquisition of SWG will impact margins in the first quarter of FY24 by 180 to 200 basis points. However, with operational efficiency, the management has aspired to reach back to the 18% EBIT margin by the first half of FY26. So that's an interesting commentary that I actually picked up with regards to L&T Technology Services. Emphasis a weak quarter, though the margins have improved marginally. So let's see how the stock reacts and trade today, because overall, the picture for IT as a sector has been pretty strong. Moving from there on, in terms of where other stocks are concerned, you have Anant Raj as well, where the company has reported a strong revenue and profit growth, whereas margins have remained under pressure. So there could be some positive momentum in terms of Anant Raj, as well as Canfin Homes is an interesting counter as well. Income has gone up by 22%, and the profits have risen around 30 to 31%. So a positive reaction could be expected on a Canfin Homes as well. And PVR. The stock was trading under pressure this week. We did see a lot of ups and downs in terms of PVR as well as Inox, but now this quarter PVR is back in the black after they reported a loss in the previous quarter. So these are few of the stocks that we should be focusing on the back of an earnings reaction. But let's now quickly move on in terms of where the newsmakers of the day go. Firstly, you have Vedanta. They've gone ahead and approved sale of assets of subsidiary, which is Zinc International, to Hindustan Zinc overall. Now, in terms of what this would actually mean is that clearly this is going to be to another subsidiary, and the cash consideration will not be exceeding $2,981 million dollars, and this will be in a phased manner basis the agreed milestones. This will be positive with regards to where Vedanta as a company goes. So watch out for a Vedanta in trade today. Moving from Vedanta, the next stock that we should be watching out for in today's session will be Sun Pharmaceuticals. They've gone ahead and acquired a US based alopecia medicine manufacturer, which is Concert Pharmaceuticals, for $576 million. In fact, that is going to be an added in terms of where the portfolio of Sun Pharma is concerned. Overall, if you go to see, Concert Pharmaceuticals is a late stage clinical biopharmaceutical company, and they have one phase 3 product for alopecia and another partnered program. Now, in terms of the revenues for calendar year 2021 for the company, that stood at around $32.6 million. So that's what we're talking about overall. And this is going to be a common stock, stock in cash, or almost a $576 million in equity value kind of a deal. So watch out for a Sun Pharma in trade today. Moving from a Sun Pharma, a few of the other stocks that we should be watching out for overall is going to be, I'll just quickly take you to the next one in terms of the stocks that we have been focusing on. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, TCS. Now, the company has been selected as a strategic partner by Bombardier to accelerate its digital transformation. So, TCS will continue to remain in focus today. In fact, IT stocks, as we mentioned, have been in focus overall. Moving from a TCS, on the back of order wins, you have BHEL, who's gone ahead and bagged a 300 crore order for renovation and modernization of steam turbines at Ukai Thermal Power Station in Gujarat, as well as of a Surya Roshni, who's also won an order worth around almost 147 odd crores for API 5L grade coated pipes. And this is from IOCL and power coated GI pipes from GAIL. And you have a L&T Technology Services. So that stock is not only in focus on the back of earnings, but they've also been selected as a strategic engineering partner to Airbus for advanced capabilities and digital manufacturing services under a multi-year contract. So these are stocks that will be in focus on the back of an order win. Moving on From the consumption space, Jubilant Foodworks. Now they've come out and said that they will be spending around 900 odd crores on capex in the next 12 to 18 months. Now the plan is to fund this entire capex via internal accruals. Out of this, around 500 to 600 crores will be on expansion of stores, whereas 300 crores will be spent on commissaries. So overall, that's the capex plan that the company has announced so far. There could be some bit of a good reaction coming in on this consumer stock. In terms of other stocks, you have a TVS Motors that will bring in focus. The company will be meeting on the 24th of Jan to consider and approve interim dividend for the current financial year. Apart from that, you have a Bata India as well. They have appointed Anil Somani as the Chief Financial Officer, and the date of appointment is something that will be announced in due course. So, a rejig coming in on that front. As well as you have a Sundaram Clayton, where the company will be considering dividend for the financial year at its meeting held on the 25th of January. Rights as well. The board will consider a third interim dividend at the meeting that will be held on the 9th of February. So watch out for rights as well. KPI Energy also is another stock that will be in focus in today's session. So watch out for KPI Energy as a newsmaker. And you have aviation data that has come in as well. So a lot of momentum that could be building in terms of aviation counters in trade today. So watch out for the aviation stocks as we speak. So, I'm sure you must be wondering a lot of movers and shakers that we will be watching out for in today's session of trade. A lot of news flow that that has been coming in on the back of earnings as well. But clearly, if you see from a market's perspective, a pretty week of consolidation. There is a buy on dips market also that is prevalent right now. But from here on, where we move on is going to be interesting to watch out for. We will continue to remain range bound as of now, and from here on, key resistance levels is something that we need to cross for the bulls to come back to action. That's all that we have in this session of the trade setup. Happy investing and a happy Friday to all the viewers. Thanks for watching.